Now, picking up where we left off for assignment 1.07, assignment number 2, our next 10 questions. We have a negative a plus 11 over 3 equals 6 over a. So, really picking up from where we left off. Negative a plus 11 over 3 equals 6 over a. This tells us that a cannot be 0. Multiplying through with cross multiplication on both sides. So we can bring everything over to the right-hand side, which gives us a positive leading coefficient, which is not a mathematical requirement, that is a personal preference. So now two numbers that multiply out to 18 but add up to 11. That is a minus 2 and a minus 9 for our factors. So a is allowed to be 2 or 9. Here, v plus 8 plus over v plus 10. So v plus 8 over v plus 10 equals v plus 5 over v plus 1. Again, we cross multiply. And because we have binomial terms, I will do that in stages. So the left-hand side is v squared plus 9v plus 8. Our right-hand side is v squared plus 15v plus 50. Our v squared terms cancel out. So since we're not going to be solving a quadratic, I will move our v term to the one where we have the greater coefficient and our constant to the other side. So a negative 42 equals 6v, and v equals negative 7, which is totally fine because our non-permissible values are negative 1 and negative 10. So our only solution is negative 7. Here, 1 or 2 solutions. So we have a y minus 1 over y equals y minus 7 over y minus 5. So we make a note that y cannot be 0 or 5, because sometimes when we finish this algebra, those are the numbers that come out, and we have to reject those because they are not permitted. So now we multiply these terms out. We get a y squared minus 6y plus 5 is y squared minus 7y. Our y squared terms cancel. I'm going to move our 7y to the left and our 5 to the right, which leaves us with y, because we have a positive 7 and a negative 6, is negative 5. Positive 5 is forbidden. Negative 5 is perfectly allowed. And I wrote y, or I wrote 7 when I meant to write y. So we have a negative 5. Now, 1 over p plus 3 equals a p over p plus 48. So our variable p is not allowed to be negative 3 or negative 48. Cross multiplication gives us p plus 48 is p squared plus 3p, or p squared plus 2p minus 48 equals 0. Two numbers that multiply out to 48 but differ by 2 are 6 and 8. So 6 and 8 have to be our roots. We just have to figure out which is positive and which is negative. And 8 has to be the positive one because that's what leads to the positive 2. 6 must be negative. So p is allowed to be either 6 or negative 8. So 6 and negative 8. Now, number 15, x minus 1 over x plus 1 is x over x plus 3. X minus 1 over x plus 1 is x over x minus, or x plus 3. So x is not allowed to be a negative 1 or a negative 3. Multiply this out with the cross multiplication. We get an x minus 1 times x plus 3 is x times x plus 1. We have an x squared plus 2x minus 3 on the left, and an x squared plus x on the right. Our x squared terms cancel, so I'm going to move our x term to the left and our negative 3 to the right. That leaves us with x equals 3. Negative 3 is forbidden, positive 3 is allowed, which would be 2 over 4 or 1/2 is 3 over 6, which is 1/2. So yes, 3 is our solution. So now, b over 2b minus 7 equals 3 over b minus 4. So b over 2b minus 7 is 3 over b minus 4. Cross multiplication, knowing that b is not allowed to be 4 or 7 over 2. b times b minus 4 is 3 times 2b minus 7. So that's b squared minus 4b is 6b minus 21. So b squared minus 10b plus 21 is 0, which factors, which we'll write the factoring explicitly, b minus 3 times b minus 7 is 0. So b is not allowed to be 3 or sorry, b is allowed to be 3 or 7. Those are our solutions. So 3 and 7. So now we have, for some reason it suddenly started zooming. Not sure why it did that. Anyway, so we have a negative. Okay, it appears some of these buttons are stuck. No, that is not what we want. We want this. Stop trying to zoom. Give me a moment. All right, the zooming problem has been fixed. Negative 6w over 6w equals 1 over w plus 6. So this means w is not allowed to be 0 or negative 6. But rather than jump to the cross multiplication, I am going to cancel on the left. So we have a negative 1 equals 1 over w plus 6, which is a negative w minus 6 equals 1, or moving our negative w to the right and our 1 to the left, that gives us w equals negative 7. All right, so now our next question is a little more complicated. H minus 5 over h plus 3 equals h plus 6 over h minus 8. So h is not allowed to be negative 3 or positive 8. We cross multiply. Now we multiply through with these terms using our distributive property with that FOIL mnemonic to help us keep track of what steps that we have. Our h squareds are going to cancel. Again, personal preference, I'm going to move our variables so that we have the positive coefficient on the right. That gives us a 22h on the right and just a simple 22 on the left. So h is 1. It is one of our permissible values, and negative 4 over 4 is a negative 1. 7 over negative 7 is a negative 1. It is easy to check and verify. Next up, s over 2 equals negative 5 over s plus 7. So s here is not allowed to be negative 7. Multiply these out, we get s squared plus 7s equals 10. S squared plus 7s minus 10 equals 0. This is our next term. Let's see here, that was a minus 5. It's a minus 10 and a plus 10, which is good because the previous version was not going to factor for us. This one will. S plus 2 times s plus 5 equals 0, so s is a negative 2 or a negative 5. Negative 2 and negative 5. So now one more, we'll finish this assignment. A negative 1 over x equals a negative x over 9. So negative 1 over x is a negative x over 9. So x is not allowed to be 0. Negative 9 is negative x squared, which gives us x squared is 9, or x is plus or minus 3. And this finishes assignment 2. And with assignment 3, we will take these right to mastery.